Welcome to Unscripted with Russo. For our podcast, we decided to explore the people behind the narratives. I'll introduce decision makers and influencers and find out the intimate story behind their rise to success. Hey everybody, welcome to Unscripted with Russo. I am here with Kevin Greene. He is the COO of Faces International. Kevin, thanks for being here.
Great to see you again, Ash.
Tell me a little bit about what Faces International is, and then we're going to talk about going back in time. But let's establish that for everybody who doesn't know Faces International.
So Faces International, LLC, we are a marketing, advertising, and development firm. And really what that means is that we not only work in the marketing realm and the advertising realm from creating strategy, content, implementation, tracking, changes, all that stuff. We also do development. And that really came from some of our backgrounds, specifically our CEO, Tyrone Russell, and his development background. And we decided to say, how do we really get teams to move forward? How do we get teams to actually implement the strategy, the plans? How do you get team to buy in, right? Because I think there's a lot of good ideas that come from teams every single day, right? There's boardrooms full of thousands and thousands of great ideas. It's always how do we implement it and how do we move forward. So we really wanted to say, we believe development was a big part of marketing, because in order to actually get a good strategy to be consistent and actually get buy-in, some team development, cultural competence work is important to the process. So we were able to kind of blend that. So
not just coming up with the marketing plan, but really figuring out how to implement throughout the team process so everybody's kind of bought into the same messaging.
Exactly. Especially when you're dealing with, companies that have, frontline employees. It's different. It's very, very different when you have just a product that you want to put in a bag and then put on a shelf and sell. You know what I mean? That's all about, messaging, market share, placement, and things of that sort. But when you're talking about anything that has anything to do with frontline employees and especially social services, you're thinking about municipalities and governmental agencies and how they have to interact with the community in certain sectors. It's important that you have buy-in from the team that's going to be implementing that, and then also an understanding of the diverse communities that they have to serve.
That's really interesting, and I think it's got to be something that's pretty unique in the marketplace.
We thought so, and being the marketing side of things, it was very hard to brand, because the second you say marketing, advertising, everyone's like, okay, get that. Then you say development, the first thing they think is, oh, so you help raise money.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we work on interpersonal development, working with teams and people. And then the tie-in, I remember sitting in a large corporation large corporation's office after we did some trainings, and we were talking about next steps and what we feel is the best way to kind of implement this in such a large organization. And they were talking about, well, we really want to be able to also go ahead and help with our recruitment efforts in the sense of our talent, because they're having issues being able to recruit all the diverse talent that they want to actually come into their company. And we said, when you think about it, your biggest marketing situation, the biggest marketing that any large company can have is not what we're putting on billboards and TV and radio. It's your people.
It's your people. And, I think that's true for small companies, too. I mean, you run a small business, I run a small business, and a lot of the people that have come to us have been referrals, whether it was somebody they knew at school the year behind them to come be an intern, or a friend in the field that they said, hey, I work at this place that you might want to work at, too. And I love that. I think the culture is so important, and making sure that it crosses. I'm sure the bigger an organization gets, the harder that gets.
Definitely. Because again, it's something you have to scale. You have to think about all the different levels, and you have to think about where everyone's coming from and where their starting point is, and and what makes them happy, what they're trying to achieve, why they're here.
Being aligned with the mission of the company.
With the mission.
All right. Well, I want to rewind a little bit. Yeah. So I want to learn a little bit more about you now that we know what Faces International is. That was a great explanation. Where did you grow up? Tell me a little bit about that.
So I was actually born in Jamaica, and then I came to New York when I was about 6. Lived in Brooklyn.
Do you remember coming here?
So I remember getting here 100%. Right. So it was the first time I seen snow and stuff. And I just remember I got here in the winter.
Oh,
so
that's a big cultural change. Wow.
So I'd say I remember being at JFK Airport, and now being older and going back, I remember specific areas of when we.
You ever see you can think of almost a snapshot?
That's kind of how it feels. That's what it felt like for a long time, until I saw the airport, and I was like, this really, really feels familiar in the sense of what I was feeling kind of shell shocked because obviously cold for the first time, all this type of stuff. I remember looking out the window when everyone was going out for the first time to go play in snow. And I was just looking out the window like, that doesn't look fun. I was like, why would I want to go and do that?
I have two stepsisters that came, that moved from California.
Yeah.
So when my mom and stepdad got married, they moved and they were like young, like 3 and 5. And my mom always tells the story that the first winter, the first snow, they ran outside with T-shirts on. They didn't know. They didn't associate it really with being cold. And they thought it was just fun. And then she's like, come inside, you need a coat. So it's amazing when you live around snow your whole life, you forget what that would be like. That's hilarious. Did you find a community that felt familiar to you, or did you find that you were in more of a diverse environment? What was your childhood like in Brooklyn?
So I spent I would say I was mostly raised in New Jersey because I left Brooklyn after about 3rd grade and I went to New Jersey. So I think all through that time, it was definitely difficult. I think just all the things that were going on, I can remember just being young and just being angry per se. Definitely a lot of fighting even at a young age. And then I remember when I got to go to New Jersey, of all places, small, town that was 10 minutes from New York City. So it was a very small town, but also big city feel, because when you grow up 10 minutes from New York City, you're in the metropolitan tri-state area. It's just a different type of situation. So it's small town, but you're ahead of everything. I think that's where I really, started to kind of find myself and find, community, which again wasn't diverse when I first got there. And then by the time I, graduated high school, I look back at our senior pictures in our group, that we grew up together. We all played sports together. We all hung out together. We all, got in trouble together, and things of that sort.
Not you.
Not anymore.
It's hard to just, when you describe yourself as being angry as a kid, honestly, knowing you as an adult and a professional here, you really have a very calm and even way about you. Where did that peace and calm come about, and how did you kind of deal with that anger that you had as a kid?
Truthfully, with sports, football specifically. Never knew football. Obviously, being Jamaican, football for us is soccer. So first football game I ever seen was the Cowboys versus the Falcons, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then people were playing like football in at the schoolyard and things of that sort. So played around a little bit. I was like 5th grade, and then someone was like, yo, you should really play. So a group of the guys, everybody was talking about, okay, this was the year we were gonna play. So we all joined up, and from that point in 6th grade, it just changed. It was a way to focus. All the anger was a way to focus the energy. It was a way to really have a focus on something, to really lock into something that I really, really liked, but also just really, really, I was good at. So it was something that really, really just took me over, and I kind of felt an avenue to be able to kind of really go ahead and kind of release that space. Now, I would say I was able to, after years of playing football, I really look back on it now, and I say, wow, the lessons that I was learning there, you know what I mean? Getting, ripped apart by coaches, watching film and, accountability, film is the level of accountability, you can't fake that. You know what I mean? You look at your mistakes in front of all your peers and all of the people in front of you, and you have to have accountability for that. And then you have film again next week. So did you do the same thing again?
It's a
things
quick
of that
way
sort.
to fix mistakes, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think now, those are the things, some areas I look back on to say, that's what kind of gives me my steady ship, especially in kind of the chaos world that I'm kind of in all the time,
I love that. It's amazing how often something like sports really grounds people and gives them that guiding light through life. What about as a student? Were you interested in anything? Was there a subject you excelled at or you liked? Was there something you hated? Yeah.
History was always a thing that kind of really piqued my interest. I think what I love about history was the unknown and the stories that are just not told all the time, right? When you're going through school, they're trying to get you as much information as they can through their time there. So it's like you get tidbits of things. And obviously, I was the last generation of they started to put the desktops into the library. We didn't use it. I still in the library went to the roller desk and had to go find the book in that process. So, the internet was there for us, but it wasn't something now that I see younger kids. Like the second if something piques their interest, they can dive in and 20 minutes later they can know so much.
There's something though about perusing like a bookshelf and seeing you're passing, the different titles to find, and then something else piques your interest. It's definitely a different way of consuming information.
Such a different way. And so it's now, when I was younger, just having that love of history and saying, wow, that's interesting. Like, wow, didn't know that, someone did that. That really happened. Human races have achieved so many different types of great things that are just almost unexplainable. It was just really, really interesting to this, the level of just greatness and just, I truthfully think the thing that's, I think, built into everyone is a level, just a certain level that I think that everyone can get to a high level of achievement. And I think really we all have the ability. It's just, are you able to unlock that? Are you able to get that enlightenment? And it's not really in the sense of knowing something specifically. I think for me, myself, it's really understanding myself and who I was. So it was stop trying to fit in the box. And history, I think what piqued my interest was there's so many people were so successful in so many different ways, doing their own thing. Those are the ones that we idolize and we want to be like.
And we forget because we only know the end product, and we often forget that there was a journey and a choice and many choices along the way, like you say, to not be in the box, to be authentic. Well, you certainly do all of those things, Kevin. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of your first jobs, your education, and where you're going from here. So we'll be right back with Kevin Greene. You're listening to Unscripted with Russo. Ever wonder what you get when you combine an historical riverside city, high-end dining, entertainment venues, and craft distilleries? The city of Easton, of course. One of my favorite spots is the Easton Public Market, right in the center of it all. But there's a variety of places to choose. Whether you're looking for a park to unwind or a night out with friends, check out Discover Lehigh Valley's website to find all the hot spots in Easton. Visit their website at discoverlehighvalley.com for more information. Hey everybody, welcome back to Unscripted. I'm here with Kevin Greene from Faces International, and Kevin was just talking a little bit about his upbringing and how sports, particularly football, really helped focus him and propel him forward. So Kevin, I want to know, where did you go next? I mean, were you always thinking you were going to go to college? Was that always part of the plan? And did you know what you wanted to study?
I always knew that I kind of really wanted to be a businessman. That was just really all I knew. I was like, at first, it looked cool. In the sense of that, just not only I think the responsibilities, but also the kind of the journey that I think was always portrayed as what businessmen and businesswomen kind of went through to be successful, right? And I thought the journey was cool. And
the journey is cool. You're right.
Yeah,
you were right, and you are right.
And I think that time, that transition for me, thinking about sports and things of that sort, and going to William Paterson and being able to play a little bit there was that transition from. Okay,
so you did play football at William Paterson. Oh, cool. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for a very, very short time, got hurt really, really early in the process. Of kind of being there. So it really, really transitioned me to say, okay, I really got to start really, thinking about, what I want to do, what the next steps are for me and things of that sort. So that was that kind of transition to say, the best thing I think when we look back on now is the memories and the journey through sports, the time that you have, not just on the field, but really in practice, in the locker room, all the types of stuff, those trips. I was like, you know what, I really do love that. And I think business is a good thing for me. So going and then, getting, a business degree, I thought really at that point I was still trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. I didn't know what part it would be. So just getting, a general, business administration degree, I was like, all right, this is kind of open. I still wasn't sure where I was going to be. I was still thinking that I was going to go back to New Jersey. And at that point, just really thinking it through, I decided to go ahead and actually move out to Pennsylvania after school and then move in with my uncle.
I was going to say, so did you have family that brought you to the Lehigh Valley?
Yeah, I had an uncle that lived out here. So it was kind of weird. He moved directly from Brooklyn to Allentown when we left Brooklyn, when I was going into third grade, and we moved to New Jersey. So he kind of just hopped over New Jersey, went to Pennsylvania, and has been in Allentown. So I've always known of Allentown. And, obviously when you come here and kind of visit, everybody takes you to Dorney Park and like a buffet. That's what I felt like. That's every time that we did.
You were at Dorney Park and the buffet.
Or a buffet. So I remember the first time like really being here and being by the mall. I was like, oh, that's the buffet in MacArthur Road. I was like, okay, this road. I kind of remember this being young and coming out here all the time when we were younger and coming to visit him. So I was like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense now how things were laid out. You kind of remember the landmarks with all the type of travel. So that was actually what got me to Pennsylvania. Being from New Jersey, especially close to the city, I was like, no way I can ever be in a place like Pennsylvania. Like, I got to be near a lot of life, a real dense area.
What were your first impressions when you actually moved out to the Lehigh Valley?
Completely surprised because I moved to Allentown and I was like, I didn't know that there was so many Spanish here. So I was just like, wow, this is very much like the areas in New Jersey that are very close to me outside, like Jersey City, North Bergen, and all that. So I was just like, the diversity that was here, I was like, okay, not what I expected. Obviously, being in my Jersey bubble, New Jersey bubble, I was like, Pennsylvania is, just land.
Farmers.
And farmers. So I was like, there's definitely nothing out here. So that like really threw me off. I was like, oh, okay, this is very, very different than my expectations. So after that, it was really, I was working for T-Mobile. And, kind of through that process, I really got a chance to see so much in the Valley, which is what I always looked at as. And it's kind of how we grew up in our area because we were such a small town. A lot of things that we did was always around the area. So we always looked at the entire region. So for me, I never looked at it as Allentown, Bethlehem, or Easton. I always looked at it as the Valley. It was always
me too,
like,
and it's interesting because I came from Jersey as well, and I didn't think twice about driving 20 minutes to get somewhere, and so I had always looked at it. And I think I came here right about 15 years ago, right around the idea of regionalism starting here. So I think that's an interesting point you make. How we outsiders, I guess, kind of look at it as one place. What is it that you love about the Lehigh Valley? I mean, what helped you fall in love with this region and say, I'm going to really put roots here and build a business here and a family here?
I think it was seeing the kind of what was going to happen. So for me, growing up in New Jersey, being so close to the city, you just see a lot of development, right? So I saw what happened to like areas like Hoboken. I seen what was going on in areas like Jersey City, and what was going on with New York and Manhattan, and what was going on with the other boroughs, right? So Manhattan was pretty much becoming just almost impossible to live there unless you were very, very wealthy. So that was just pushing everyone out. So we said, I was just looking at like, wow, like this area is just prime for growth. And I was like, well, 90% of the people that I actually know don't come from here. So I was just like, it's not like this is
you're
a
not
trend.
the only transplant.
This is a fact, right? And then when I got here, Lower McCountry was just starting to really, really get its boom. So then, a couple years in, you just see how things really start to move. I was like, wow, they're creating towns, very, very fast here. So that's what really piqued my interest. I was like, there's a lot of opportunity. And I was like, I think this is a place that it's really like almost like a rebirth, right? It's like this is a place that has so much history, but has a great opportunity because it's so close to larger cities where people are moving in. Younger people are trying to go ahead and be able to afford and start their own roots and kind of start their own thing. The Valley really just kind of like the place we're in today is kind of a beacon for scale.
Factory. It's amazing.
Factory,
right? That's what they're doing. They're basically bringing young entrepreneurs who had a great idea and got a business started and then providing so many jobs too in the area, which is cool. You and I met through United Way, and you've got a real heart for community, and I think that we've got that connection. And tell me a little bit about your community work and why connecting to the community and the nonprofits in the Lehigh Valley was important to you.
Before understanding and just being my age, understanding the process of how you get involved. When you see things, it's like I can get involved by volunteering, right? That's how I kind of know it. And then when I finally really understood, and Alan Jennings was the first person that gave me an opportunity to really sit on a board on the Rising Tide Community Loan Fund board. 2012, now 13, and it really showed me that it's not all you can really utilize. So there's so many different ways to utilize your talents, your influence, your mind, your energy to really be able to go ahead and make an impact and actually be able to work with others. And making an impact on the community is just so important because I knew the impact that the community of Bogota made on me. The different people that were there, everyone from all the friends to all the parents, to specifically, Big Harv, who's, pretty much I consider my mentor and a person that was just always there for me, and allowed me to be me and didn't set any expectations other than the fact that I needed to be the best me that I could be.
It's interesting though, as a young guy, you really thought to go to the community to really build your network and get to know people and give back. And people often ask, how do I get more connected? It's always my answer. Give back. Go do something. Get involved. And we're so lucky because we've got these cool resources like the Volunteer Center or United Way to do that. How did that help you launch your business? Tell me a little bit about that transition to building Faces International.
It was all about that. I think without specific organizations that I've been able to be a part of, as you said, the United Way, I'm now board of directors of Valley Youth House, obviously things with Community Action Lehigh Valley and the Chamber and more. It's really, really given me an opportunity to really see the depth of the Lehigh Valley and understanding that there's so much more to relationships when you think about business, right? So, it's not only do we get along, we might have a good time and things of that sort, but if we're able to collaborate and do things, for a bigger picture, not only for our community, but also, for our own businesses as well, it just really, really gave us an opportunity because of our process, right? So we're talking about, we want to help you develop strategy, then we want to help you go ahead and develop your team and implement that. So, being able to go out and network and have these platforms to network so many different people allowed us to get with other like-minded people that understand the importance of that to their organization.
You mentioned when you moved here being sort of surprised by the level of diversity in the Lehigh Valley, and you've made that a big part of your mission. And as a young African American male, what role does that play? You do a lot on wealth disparity, equity and inclusion. Talk to me a little bit about what opportunity there is here in the Lehigh Valley to have these kinds of conversations, because I feel like on a local level, we're having these conversations in a really meaningful way. And I don't know that that's happening everywhere in our country right now.
Yeah. I would say the Lehigh Valley is definitely doing what it can to take the charge. And that's really what it really starts at, is it's being able to be okay with being vulnerable and taking the chance to put yourself out there so you can speak your truth. And then if we're all able to do that in a space, we're able to come out of that better at the end of the day. And that's really, I think one of the most unique things that are going on in the Valley right now, because it's changing so fast. We might be being pushed a little bit harder to have these conversations, because as a community, we have to have these conversations so we can live and work and grow together. But as a business community and economic engine, we must make sure that we're having these type of conversations so we can maximize the talents, right? And when you think about all the talent pool and, a lot of the great work that you guys do by retaining talents, because we educate a lot of people here in the Lehigh Valley, we got to
keep them here. We want to keep them here for jobs and make sure that they, But I love that concept, because I feel like you are helping drive such an important conversation.
Yep.
And I love the word safe. I feel like you have done such a great job in making conversations around equity and inclusion safe, where it feels like everyone has a seat at the table and you really want to hear what people are going through, what the struggles are, how we can solve these issues together. So I think that's really cool. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, I want to talk to you a little bit more about your community work, where you're going next, and all the things you love about this Lehigh Valley.
Awesome.
All right, you're listening to Unscripted. We'll be right back. Time to take your workout outdoors. Discover Lehigh Valley is a great resource for finding easily accessible nature trails with stunning views and challenging terrain. Whether you're exploring the Delaware and Lehigh Trail or going for a jog on the Ironton Rail Trail, explore Discover Lehigh Valley to get you started. Follow them on Instagram, Lehigh Valley PA. Welcome back to Unscripted, everybody. I'm here with Kevin Greene, and he is from Faces International. He's talking a lot about what you've done and your career and building your company. So tell me a little bit about the work that Faces is doing currently and kind of where you see yourself going in the future.
Yeah. So currently right now, we're actually working on the U.S. Census marketing promotion. Some work in the Valley-wide, some work going on specifically with the city of Allentown as well.
I like to tell you that my husband and I just filled out our census form this morning.
You
I
did?
kid you not. Yes, I took it very seriously. I said, we have to do this. I happen to know you're doing that work. Can you just tell people why being a part of a census is important? I think people get the paper and they're like, why? I don't have to do it. If I don't do it, nobody's,
Yeah, which is like most things, right? Especially in the mail. Some of the things come in the mail, you just toss out.
It is online though.
Yeah,
we logged
it
on
is
and
online.
did it. So
it is. It is definitely online for the first time, which is great. It's moving. It's moving with how the world is moving. But the census is important for all of us because it's truthfully just about the count of people that are on the land of the United States. And the reason why that's important is because we provide services to every single person. When you're thinking about your roads, when you're thinking about housing, you're thinking about transportation, you're thinking thinking about infrastructure. So that's clean things that infrastructure affects how clean your water is. When you think about your political representation, making sure that you have the correct number of political representation in all the different seats because of your population. So the main thing to know is that it affects everyone, and it's so important that every living person is counted, because at the end of the day, we have so many other things that we have to focus on. And I know there might be areas where, we're on different sides or we have different point of views. But when it comes to the census, it's making sure that we have a proper count. We understand what's going on so that we can properly have the resources to provide the services that actually keep our society the way that it is and the expectations that we have from our society. That's what it is. Like, I expect my roads to be a certain way because I do live in America. When I go back to Jamaica, I expect potholes. It's kind of what it is, because I understand
decisions are built off of the census.
Correct.
I mean, for a long time, we don't do these that often.
10 years.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a decade that's going to this decisions that matter will be built off of this. So that's really cool work. Is there any other stuff that you're involved with that you want to mention? I know you do a lot of things throughout the community. Just briefly, some stuff that you're doing in the Lehigh Valley that you want people to know about.
Yeah. So one of the things that specifically myself kind of working on it, and a kind of extension of our company, is kind of some of the nonprofit work that we're doing, currently right now, as a board member of the Valley Youth House. So working with Valley Youth House has really gone ahead and shown me another layer of understanding how diverse our community really is, in the sense of all the different layers and where all different people are coming from. And the issue of like homeless youth in the Lehigh Valley is something I think in a lot of places you just don't really think about homeless youth. You don't really understand it. And a lot of times our homeless youth are showing up to school every single day, so you just assume if they got there, okay, they must have all the other things that are for the kids that are also getting there as well. So it's been really, really enlightening to kind of see that and understand, and actually really be able to go ahead and be a part of an organization like that, as well as a board of directors, to actually implement change and growth, to be able to do to kind of really knock into that
homelessness in youth. And one of the things I learned through United Way that I didn't know was that couch hopping counts. Kids that they actually couch hop districts, and then they're going to different schools, and you wonder why there are issues going on in their education. There's gaps, and that piece really has to be looked at as well, as not just providing a home, but stability in their life. So, well, thank you for all the work that you do. Before I let you go, I do want to ask you a couple things about the Lehigh Valley. So, you are a dad. You're a dad. Your son is how old now?
3.
3. Okay, so what is the best place to go with kids in the Lehigh Valley? What's your favorite thing to do with your son?
Best place in the Lehigh Valley, so other than Canal Park and Easton, because he's a crazy runner, so that it's nice open space, and then Lehigh Valley Zoo, especially there are light shows and stuff in the winters and stuff, really, really cool. We always do that every single year, so those tours are normally our spots. Awesome.
What about your favorite place to eat in the Lehigh Valley? There's a lot of great places to eat. What's your favorite
place to eat? It's got to be probably Bolete. It's probably my favorite place to eat. It's always definitely a quarterly treat.
You went for the top, right?
Bolete.
You went right for the top.
You said
top
my
50
favorite,
restaurant
right?
in America, right
it
here
is,
in Bethlehem.
Exactly.
Isn't that cool?
You know what I mean? The first time I walked in there, I was like, I passed this, little brick home for so many different years, and I had no idea that was
it's pretty
in there.
Special.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you took the journey from Jamaica to Brooklyn, then from Brooklyn to Jersey, then Jersey to the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
Why make the Lehigh Valley your home? Why?
I think for me, the Lehigh Valley has shown opportunity in the sense of, obviously being young and starting a family. It created me the affordability to be able to go ahead and start that. Buy my home at 25. Then the economic boom that I just believe was here the day that I really, really started to pay attention and see what was going on. And again, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm always looking for the next opportunity to be able to, advance myself, advance my family, my business partners. And
the Lehigh Valley really makes that possible.
It makes that possible. And then also I've just really, really gotten close, with this community, and I've seen, when you see the gems and you get connected to the gems and you have experiences, with people that have impacted your life, without the Lehigh Valley, I truthfully wouldn't have been able to hone myself to be the person that I am today. So not only, as my past done that, and got me here today, Lehigh Valley allowed me to really go ahead and put in and test it out there. So all the crazy things that are going in my mind, the Lehigh Valley gave me that chance. The Lehigh Valley allowed me the opportunity to be sitting here with you today. So without the Lehigh Valley, I wouldn't be who I am. And I know when I look back at this 10 years from now, the Lehigh Valley is just going to be a great part of the story that I'm hoping to tell. And, sitting as a dad that talks too much to be able to, give a couple lessons to my son. So
I love that, Kevin. That is so awesome. And we're so glad that you're a part of this valley. Thank you for being on Unscripted today. We wish you the best of luck in everything you do. Faces International, all of your community work, and of course, your most important job, being a dad.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
There's nothing like wintertime in the Christmas city, but any time of year, Bethlehem's rich history, culture, food, and fun make it a great hangout spot. Take a walk on the artsy South Side, catch a great band at Steel Stacks, or enjoy the quaint history of Hotel Bethlehem. There are so many options, but before you book your trip, head over to Facebook and like Lehigh Valley, PA. Before you know it, you'll have a full itinerary of places you won't want to miss. Hey everybody, this is Unscripted. It is our rapid fire question round with Kevin Greene from Faces International. Kevin, have you seen the questions I'm going to ask you here today?
I have not.
All right. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Your favorite hobby or pastime?
Favorite hobby or pastime? Hiking.
If you won the lottery, what's the very first thing you would do?
I would have all my family quit their jobs.
What is one food you couldn't live without?
Stew chicken. That's a Jamaican dish. Couldn't live without it.
All right. I need to have that sometime then. All right. Which actor would you cast to play you in a movie about your life?
Wow. Good one. I wish it could be possible because Matthew McConaughey is a man and the expressions are great. But I would go with Michael B. Jordan. That would be cool.
All right. That's good casting. If you didn't have the job you have now, what would you be doing instead?
Truthfully, I would love to be doing something with my hands, preferably on an island someplace, and be like, the handyman on the island, with like a beat-up truck that's real loud when it pulls up.
So
that's
maybe
like
it'll come full circle and you'll live in Jamaica.
I'm telling you,
with
man,
the beat-up pickup truck.
That's a retirement plan, man. A pickup truck with bad gears that's loud.
That is a good plan. All right, the last one is name one person who inspires you.
Truthfully, man, still every day. My mom. She just continues to inspire me in the sense of just how patient she is, how supportive she is, the hardest worker I've ever known. And she just drives me every single day to make sure that I stay committed to the goal for why she, risked everything to come here.
I love that. Shout out to Mom and the risks you took to get your boy to this point.
Yeah.
Kevin, that's amazing. Thank you so much for being part of Rapid Fire Questions on Unscripted with Russo.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin. All right, until next time, guys.